How to handle ghosting. 1. Don't personalize their silence when someone ghosts you. The first instinct is often to turn inward and assume you did something wrong. The mind goes on a spiral of self-interrogation. Did I say the wrong thing? Was I too much? Not enough? Did I misread the connection? That spiral is dangerous because it plants seeds of self-doubt in soil that has nothing to do with you. Here's the truth. Their silence is not a mirror reflecting your worth. It's a window showing their limits. Ghosting is less about you and more about them. It's about their inability or unwillingness to handle honesty, to face discomfort, or to offer you the courtesy of closure. Think of it like this. If someone drops a ball, you don't blame the ball for being dropped. The ball didn't do anything wrong. The person holding it made the choice to let it fall. That's what ghosting is. You were in someone's hands, and instead of passing you forward with respect, they let go. That action says everything about them and nothing about your value. But why is it so easy to take ghosting personally? Because silence is a blank canvas, and human beings hate blank canvases. We want to fill the empty space with a story, and 9 times out of 10, the story we tell ourselves is rooted in our insecurities. They left because I wasn't enough. They vanished because I messed up. That story feels convincing, but it's a lie. The healthier story is this. They left because that's where their capacity ended. They disappeared because silence was easier for them than honesty. It was their shortcut, their escape route, their coping mechanism. It was never your reflection. Imagine a teacher grading students. If a teacher takes your perfectly written test, stamps a big red F on it without reading it, does that F reflect your intelligence? No. It reflects the teacher's failure to do their job. Ghosting works the same way. Their disappearing act is their grade, not yours. Here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, why wasn't I enough? Start asking, why wasn't honesty enough for them? That reframing moves the weight off your shoulders and back where it belongs. It frees you from carrying blame that was never yours to begin with. And here's the powerful part. Once you stop personalizing their silence, you stop chasing explanations. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop doubting your value. Instead, you reclaim your peace. You stand firm in knowing that being ghosted doesn't shrink your worth by even a fraction. Think about your favorite song. If someone presses mute in the middle of it, does the song lose its beauty? No, it's still as powerful, as moving, as inspiring as it ever was. The mute button just stopped that one person from hearing it. Ghosting is the mute button. It silences the connection, but it doesn't change the melody of who you are. So here's what I want you to carry. Don't personalize silence. Don't let their lack of words become a verdict on your life. Instead, let it be a reminder of your strength, that you can stand, still whole, even when someone else disappears. You are not defined by the people who leave quietly. You are defined by how you choose to keep showing up, for yourself, for your growth, and for the people who value your voice enough to never silence it. 2. Acknowledge the hurt. Don't hide it. When ghosting happens, the pain is real. It's not just the silence that hurts. It's the unanswered questions that echo in your mind. The plans you thought you had, the trust you were building, the little glimpses of connection that felt so real, all of that gets yanked away without warning, and the natural instinct to act like it doesn't matter, to shrug it off, to pretend you're unbothered. But here's the problem. Burying pain doesn't make it disappear. It just plants it deeper, where it grows in silence. You can dress it up with distractions, numb it with busyness, or push it away with denial, but eventually the ache comes back. Stronger, sharper, heavier. Acknowledging your hurt isn't weakness, it's courage. It's looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, yes, this stung. Yes, this broke my expectations. Yes, I feel disappointed, confused, maybe even betrayed. That honesty with yourself is where healing begins. Think of emotional pain like a cut. If you get a wound and pretend it's not there, refusing to clean it, refusing to bandage it, what happens? Infection sets in. The wound grows worse, not better. But if you acknowledge it, tend to it, and give it air to breathe, it heals. Ghosting works the same way. The longer you deny the sting, the longer it festers. Here's the truth: you are allowed to grieve ghosting. It doesn't matter if it was a short friendship, a budding romance, or even a professional opportunity. You are allowed to feel the loss of something that held meaning for you. Too often, we shame ourselves with thoughts like, "It wasn't serious, I shouldn't care this much." But pain doesn't measure itself by time. It measures itself by impact. And if it mattered to you, then acknowledging that hurt is not just okay, it's necessary. When you give yourself permission to feel, you give yourself permission to heal. That means letting the tears fall if they need to. That means journaling the questions stuck in your mind. That means confiding in a friend you trust. It means choosing to face the ache head on instead of running from it. Now, here's the power in this. When you acknowledge your hurt, you stop it from owning you. Pain that's buried controls you silently. It dictates your thoughts, your triggers, your insecurities. But pain that's spoken loses its grip. When you say, "I'm hurt," and that's real, you take control of the narrative. You decide what happens next. Let's be clear, acknowledging hurt is not the same as wallowing in it. Wallowing is staying stuck, replaying the same what-ifs without moving forward. Acknowledgement is naming it, honoring it, and then gently guiding yourself toward growth. It's saying, "This hurt me, but it doesn't get to hold me here forever." Think of it like standing in the rain. Denial is pretending you're dry while you're soaking wet. Wallowing is sitting in the storm and refusing to get up. Acknowledgement, that's saying, "Yes, I'm wet. Yes, this storm is real, but I'm going to find shelter, I'm going to dry off, and eventually I'm going to step back into the sun." The reason this step is so vital is because ghosting steals your voice. Someone left without explanation, and now you're left with silence. By acknowledging your pain, you take your voice back. You reclaim your story. Instead of letting their silence define you, you give words to your truth. So let me remind you, it's okay to hurt. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to admit that ghosting shook you. That honesty with yourself doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong enough to process, strong enough to heal, and strong enough to rise. Don't hide the wound. Face it, feel it, tend to it, because when you do, the hurt that once tried to break you becomes the very foundation that rebuilds you. 3. Choose dignity over desperation. One of the most common reactions after being ghosted is the urge to chase. You send another text, then another. You check their social media. You analyze their last message, looking for hidden clues. You feel the panic of unfinished business, the hunger for closure, the need to understand why. It's human. We crave answers because unanswered silence feels unbearable. But here's the truth. Every time you chase someone who has already disappeared, you're handing over pieces of your dignity. You're saying, "My worth depends on your response." And that is a dangerous place to live. Dignity is your shield. It's the part of you that says, "I deserve respect, whether you give it to me or not." Choosing dignity over desperation means refusing to beg for the bare minimum. It means standing tall in the face of silence and saying, "I am enough, even if you can't see it." Think about it like this. Imagine you walk into a store and the cashier completely ignores you. You ask a question and they look the other way. Would you keep asking over and over again, pleading for them to notice you? No. You'd leave because you know your value as a customer. You know you deserve to be acknowledged. Ghosting is no different. Their silence is their choice. Your response determines whether you shrink or stand. Here's what chasing does. It ties your worth to someone else's decision. It puts the power in their hands. But here's what dignity does. It keeps the power in yours. Dignity says, "I won't beg for answers. I won't lower my standards. I won't sacrifice my peace just to make you comfortable." Now, does that mean you don't care? No, you cared. That's why it hurts. Choosing dignity doesn't erase your feelings, it elevates them. It says, "I can care deeply and still choose not to lose myself in the process." The temptation of desperation is real. You think, if I just send one more message, maybe they'll explain. But if silence has already been their answer, another text won't change that. In fact, it only deepens the wound because every unanswered attempt feels like rejection on repeat. Protect yourself from that cycle. Protect your peace by not engaging in a conversation that isn't being offered. Here's the powerful shift. Closure doesn't come from their explanation. It comes from your decision. Closure is not something they give you. It's something you choose for yourself. It's you saying, I accept that silence is an answer, and I choose to walk away with my dignity intact. Think of a crown. Every person carries one, the crown of self-respect. Desperation sets that crown down, hoping someone else will pick it up and hand it back. Dignity keeps it firmly on your head, no matter how others treat you. Your crown doesn't fall just because someone else fails to recognize its worth. And here's the truth most people don't realize. Choosing dignity is not just about protecting your present, it's about shaping your future. When you refuse to chase, when you stand firm in self-respect, you create a filter. That filter ensures that only the people capable of consistency, honesty, and respect can step closer. You teach others how to treat you by showing them what you will and will not accept. So, how do you choose dignity in practice? You send one final message if you need closure, but if they don't respond, you stop. You silence their notifications to protect your peace. You remind yourself daily that their silence is about them, not you. And most importantly, you resist the urge to beg for what should have been given freely, honesty, because here's the bottom line, dignity is priceless. Once lost, it's hard to rebuild, but when you guard it, you step into every situation with strength. You may not control their actions, but you always control your response. So let their silence be theirs. Let your dignity be yours. Don't hand over your crown for someone unwilling to stand beside you. Because you're worth more than unanswered texts. You're worth respect, presence, and honesty. And when you choose dignity over desperation, you prove to yourself that your value is not up for negotiation. Reframe ghosting as clarity. Ghosting feels like confusion. It feels like a cliffhanger without an ending. You replay the conversations, the laughter, the plans, and wonder, how could it all vanish without explanation? The human mind craves closure, and when we don't get it, we often create chaos trying to fill the gaps. But here's the shift that changes everything. Ghosting isn't just silence. It's clarity in disguise. It's not the closure you wanted, but it's the closure you needed. Think about it. Someone who ghosts is showing you their limits. They're showing you how they handle discomfort, how they deal with expectations, how they approach connection. And the answer is clear. They don't. They avoid. They retreat. They run. That's clarity. Clarity is seeing that the story wasn't cut short. It ended exactly where it needed to. Because someone who disappears instead of communicating is telling you without words that they weren't ready, willing, or capable of meeting you where you stand. And isn't that exactly what you need to know? Here's what ghosting does. It saves you from investing further in someone who couldn't honor the basics, honesty, and respect. It spares you months or even years of pouring yourself into someone who would rather vanish than speak truth. That silence, painful as it feels, is a filter. It removes what doesn't belong in your future. Think of it like walking through a foggy forest. You don't know what's ahead, and it feels disorienting. Then suddenly the fog clears and you see the path, narrow but unmistakable. Ghosting is that clearing. It may sting, but it reveals reality. It shows you who they are, or at least who they're not. The danger is that most people view ghosting only as rejection. They think, I wasn't enough, so they left. But that's not clarity. That's self-blame disguised as analysis. Clarity is understanding that someone who ghosts was never aligned with the kind of connection you deserve. Clarity is knowing their silence is proof they weren't meant to walk with you into the next chapter. Now, let's be real. Reframing ghosting as clarity doesn't erase the hurt. It still feels like a door slammed in your face. But it does give you direction. Instead of staying stuck at that closed door, banging and begging for it to reopen, you recognize that it was never your door to begin with. And once you see that, you can stop knocking and start moving forward. Here's the power of clarity. It saves you from wasting energy on dead ends. It keeps you from chasing people who aren't capable of giving you what you need. It frees you to invest your time, your love, and your energy into people who value communication, who honor honesty, who show up consistently. Let me put it this way. If someone vanishes without explanation, they've already answered the question you were afraid to ask: are they capable of building something real with me? Their silence is their answer. And while that answer hurts, it also liberates you, because you no longer have to wonder, you no longer have to guess. You know, and knowing is power. Reframing ghosting as clarity is about flipping the lens. Instead of focusing on what you lost, you focus on what you gained: information. You gained knowledge of their limits. You gained insight into their avoidance. You gained proof of what you don't want. That's not rejection, that's redirection. So the next time ghosting tempts you into self-doubt, stop and say this to yourself: this silence is clarity, this pain is information, and this ending is protection. Because the truth is, ghosting is never about your lack of worth. It's about their lack of courage, and if that's the kind of person they are, then clarity isn't your enemy, it's your freedom. So let their silence be your clarity. Let it be the filter that removes what doesn't belong in your story. And let it remind you that every unanswered text, every vanishing act, is simply life clearing space for the kind of people who choose presence over disappearance, honesty over avoidance, and connection over silence. 5. Redirect your energy inward when someone ghosts you. It's easy to get stuck in a cycle of obsession. You scroll through old conversations, searching for clues. You replay every detail in your head: what you said, how they responded, what could have gone wrong. You refresh their social media like maybe, just maybe, it will reveal the missing piece of the puzzle. But here's the hard truth. Every ounce of energy you pour into their silence is energy stolen from your growth. Every minute spent dissecting their disappearance is a minute lost from building the life you deserve. And that's the trap ghosting sets. It tricks you into handing your focus to someone who has already walked away. The way out: redirect that energy inward. Instead of chasing the why behind their silence, invest in the what of your own growth. What can you learn from this? What can you build now? What parts of yourself need nurturing, healing, or strengthening? Think of your energy like water. If you pour it into a cracked vase, no matter how much you give, it will never stay. That's what obsessing over someone who ghosted is. It's pouring your energy into a vessel that can't hold it. But when you redirect that same water into your own soil, your passions, your health, your relationships, you bloom. Redirecting your energy inward doesn't mean you stop caring overnight. It means you choose to put that care where it can actually grow. Instead of checking their Instagram, you go for a run. Instead of replaying conversations in your head, you pick up that book you've been meaning to read. Instead of writing the message they'll never answer, you write in a journal to process your own feelings. This shift is powerful because it moves you from being reactive to proactive. Ghosting leaves you waiting for their reply, waiting for their explanation, waiting for them to come back. But redirecting your energy inward ends the waiting game. It puts the control back in your hands. You stop waiting on them and start moving for you. And here's the beautiful thing: the more you invest in yourself, the less their silence matters. Because slowly, you realize their absence isn't a loss, it's space. Space for you to rediscover who you are when you're not pouring everything into someone else. Space for you to explore your interests, strengthen your mindset, and rebuild your confidence. Think of it like cleaning out a closet. At first it feels empty. You stare at the bare shelves and think about what used to be there. But over time, that emptiness becomes opportunity. You get to refill it with things that actually fit, things that bring joy, things that belong. Ghosting creates that empty shelf. Redirecting your energy inward is how you decide what gets to take its place. Now, let's be practical. How do you actually do this? Set goals for yourself: personal, professional, physical, spiritual. Even small ones give you direction. Reconnect with your circle: friends, family, mentors. Surround yourself with people who choose you consistently. Develop new habits. Go to the gym, take a class, learn a skill. Let growth become your answer to their silence. Create a gratitude practice. Focus daily on what you still have instead of obsessing over what you lost. Redirecting energy inward is not about ignoring your hurt. It's about choosing not to live in it. It's about transforming pain into fuel. It's about saying, I may not control their actions, but I absolutely control my response. And here's what you'll notice as you grow, as you thrive, as you invest in yourself. The sting of ghosting fades. Because what once felt like rejection now feels like redirection. What once felt like abandonment now feels like opportunity. You see that their silence didn't end you, it freed you. So stop pouring your energy into cracked vases. Stop giving your focus to silence. Redirect it inward and watch how you bloom. Because the best response to being ghosted isn't chasing them, it's choosing you. 6. Set stronger boundaries moving forward. Ghosting hurts, but it also teaches. The sting of silence can either leave you bitter or make you wiser, and wisdom, when applied, turns pain into protection. That protection is called boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates that let the right people in. They're the guidelines you set for how you expect to be treated, and they're the standards you hold for the kind of energy you allow into your life. And when you've been ghosted, boundaries are what make sure you don't repeat the same cycle again. Here's the truth. Ghosting shows you what you don't want. You don't want someone who vanishes when things get uncomfortable. You don't want someone who avoids hard conversations. You don't want someone whose consistency is temporary. That clarity is painful, yes, but it's also powerful, because now you know what to filter out. Think of your life as a house. Boundaries are the locks on your doors. They don't stop you from welcoming guests, but they make sure only the ones you trust have the key. Without locks, anyone can walk in, make a mess, and leave. Boundaries are how you protect your peace, your time, and your worth. So, what does setting stronger boundaries look like after ghosting? It looks like valuing consistency. If someone's energy is hot and cold, you take note. It looks like paying attention to actions, not just words. If someone says they'll show up but rarely does, you don't ignore it. It looks like expecting honesty, because if communication feels like pulling teeth, you know that's not a foundation for trust. And here's the key: boundaries are not ultimatums. They're not threats you make to control others. Boundaries are promises you keep to yourself. You don't say, if you ghost me, I'll do this. You say, if someone ghosts me, I will honor myself by not chasing, by not begging, by not lowering my standards. It's not about changing them, it's about protecting you. When you don't set boundaries, you leave your heart open to cycles of disrespect. You become vulnerable to repeated ghosting, repeated disappointment, repeated self-doubt. But when you do set boundaries, you build a filter so strong that the wrong people eventually filter themselves out. Now, some people fear that boundaries will make them too guarded, but the opposite is true. Boundaries don't make love harder, they make love safer. They ensure that when you open yourself up, you do it with people who are capable of meeting you with the same respect and honesty you give. Here's the empowering part. Boundaries not only protect you, they also elevate you. They remind you daily of your worth. They whisper, I deserve effort, I deserve communication, I deserve presence. And when you live by those standards, you attract people who naturally meet them. Let me put it another way. Ghosting taught you a painful lesson about what happens when boundaries are absent. Now, you get to rewrite the story. You get to walk into your next connection wiser, stronger, clearer. You get to say, I know my worth, and I won't settle for silence where there should be honesty. So how do you build stronger boundaries? Trust patterns, not promises. If someone shows inconsistency, don't excuse it away. Communicate your needs early. Let people know you value honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Practice self-respect. Don't keep giving second chances to behavior that disrespects you. Honor your exit. If someone ghosts you once, don't let them drift in and out without accountability. Boundaries are how you transform ghosting from just pain into progress. Because when you strengthen your standards, you protect your peace. You don't become harder, you become smarter. You don't stop loving, you start loving yourself enough to only accept love that's real. So let ghosting be the lesson, not the label. Don't let it define you, but let it refine you. And with every step forward, let your boundaries be the reminder. You are worthy of presence, you are worthy of honesty, and you are worthy of people who choose to show up. Rising above ghosting.